Hi guys, and thank you for coming back to watch part 2 of the Toro Pick carburetor repair. If you recall earlier when I took this carburetor apart, this pin in here was tough coming out. You can see now it's loose. Around here, there's some of the corrosion. This is cleaned out. This is just the corrosion that was left. Now this is the ring we're putting back on, this gasket. You have to remember to get this gasket back on. I'm going to put this camera down for a second. Now that the gasket's on, we put the bowl on. See how we cleaned out that bowl. And we're going to put the nut back in. And it's hard to see with this camera here, but here was the passages that we cleaned out. And you have to remember to put this washer right here on first, otherwise this will leak. Okay. Now this nut is a 1/2 inch. I have a deep socket only because that's what I happen to grab. And it has to be tapped. You don't want to just good and snug. And now here's this carburetor back together. Inside's clean, every port is good, and I didn't show this on the video, but it's upside down. When I blew into it, couldn't blow because the pin prevents the air from going through. When it's right side up and the float goes down, when you blow into it, air will go through. So that's working properly. Now if we come over to the mower, we can see in here, it's not bad, but it is pretty dirty in here. So before I put this carburetor back together, let's stick this cork in here. And I'm just going to blow this out good. And there is some dirt around the head of the mower. This dirt will cause the motor to overheat. So while I have this all apart over here, I'm going to take advantage of that and just blow it out. And I'm going to shut the camera off while I'm blowing it out. This compressor makes quite a bit of noise. And I'll be back as soon as that's cleared out. Hey guys, I'm back, and this turned out to be a little bit more than what I thought it would be. A little spring, when I was blowing it off, a little spring came off, and I was looking for where this would go on the linkage over here for the carburetor. And as I was taking things apart, I was finding more and more buildup in there, and I went all the way to the flywheel. Now this was under a top, but you can see it rusted up pretty bad for the last few months it was out here. And I noticed the compression isn't what it was before. I don't know if a valve hung up in there. Maybe a little bit of rust got inside of one of those valves. But right now, I'm just going to put this back together. I'll be back to show the carburetor installation. This turned out to be a little bit more, and it would just extend the video that much more. Anyway, just wanted to let you know what I was up to, and as soon as I get back to the carburetor part, I'll be back. Thank you. Okay, like I mentioned before, it looks like we might have a compression problem now that we didn't have before. And this simply could have happened because the valves were opened. One of them could have been opened, and a little rust got in there, and it's caused it to hang up. Now, while I had this apart, I'm just looking everything over, and I noticed on this kill switch, this wire was melted. The heat from the engine head, there was a lot of grass up in here when I took this apart, all up in here, and the heat melted this wire. Okay, I'm back, and I got this back together over here. And just to show you what I did with this wire, I did have some wire, and what I ended up doing was cutting the wire here. I spliced into it, and then I had another terminal. I did have one in my toolbox that I clipped on. I still put the casing from another electrical cord onto it, and I taped that up, and I put enough wire, and I made this stiff over here to keep it from rubbing up against the block, the head. Prior, that wire was running right across the head. Okay, this is about the best reception I could get on this. Right here we have 2 holes where 2 10mm bolts will go in to bolt this onto the engine block. Up here we have the hole where this Z connector has to go in. You have to turn the carburetor. Now back in here where my finger is, there is an O-ring. I want to make sure that O-ring's on when you get in there. Besides that, we have this spring over here that will connect on this. I'm going to get started with the two 10mm bolts. It's a little awkward working around the camera. Get the best shot of this. How to put it in my way. Okay. When you put this back on, you want it tight, but you don't want it overly tight. It's only aluminum, you don't want to strip it out. I don't have to torque on this, but just the way it gets snug, and that little bit more. Okay, she's secure. Now we want to get that spring on here, and I put that needle nose down where? Okay, you don't want to stretch the spring out. It's made for the... Okay, once the spring is on, you get it in there, and this bolt up here is a 1/4 inch bolt. Here's the back of the filter. I'm going to put the gasket on the back of the filter and then put the nuts through it that way. This gasket's in rough shape. What I try to do, reinforce that gasket. You know, I made the gaskets before out of cardboard to get me through on a pinch, and I glued a piece to the back of it and cut around it. Don't know if that's going to help at all, but we'll find out soon enough. Okay, I have the 2 bolts in there. Now you want to get this hose, okay, you can see it on the camera here. This hose here has to get back onto that plate. That compression really threw me. Like I said before, I even put this up on these pallets. I checked the compression and it was fine. And the compression was pretty heavy. It was pretty strong. Doesn't feel the same now. I was able to turn it by hand with no problem at all with the plug in, and with the plug out, I didn't feel the same compression on my thumb like I did the last time. But we went this far, and now this we want to snug down, and you got to be careful because it is plastic and she can snap real easy. This machine was cared for pretty well. This is the air filter that I pulled out of it. It looks brand new. So what might have happened was that the owner put the filter in, maybe had it sit a while because the gas was a little dried in there, and just could have been one of those things. It had dirt on it, but no more than you've seen anywhere else. Under the cowling there was a lot of grass though, and again it melted that wire. Well guys, thank you for coming back, and now we're looking at this mower again. The carburetor's on, the air cleaner's on, and it does start. The problem I'm having now is that it will start, it's surging a little bit. That could be from that gasket that I put on that wasn't quite right. the blades don't engage, and the self-propel doesn't move. But I will start it, and I'm going to show this mower all around. If anybody out there has the same mower and maybe could help me out with this, give me some directions. I'm going to go online and see if I can find the part. Up by the handle, there looks like there's a broken piece that holds the cable. I'll be playing around with the cable manually, but that'll be another day for that. But right now I'll just show you that this motor does start, and I was wrong on the compression. The compression did feel a lot less this time around than when I first checked it out, but it starts and it runs. So here we go. It starts without any problem.